Thank you. Thank you, Mike. It's great to be here finally, and here we are, 2015, still writing poetry, so that's good. It's an honor to follow Hayden Wayne. Amazing stuff. I want to start with one called Carpenter's Helper. It's about I'll just read the poem. I had trouble getting here, I'm still a little. I was so spacey back then, Sandra Bullock couldn't have found her way out of me, even with George Clooney's help. I was like a kite loosely looped to the pinky of a hyperactive 2-year-old on a gusty day. I mean, I was out there, I was flying away. And so, to better ground myself in my body, I talked my way into a carpenter's helper job. The man who hired me just wanted to flirt, or worse. But the guys on the crew, the guys I worked with, they were all right. They let me carry heavy stuff because I was the helper, not the carpenter, but they showed me how to carry it. Plywood, you grab dead center, one hand under, taking the weight, other on top for balance. And if it's windy, tip it, tip it! Sheetrock, same, but don't ding the edges. Please watch those studs. And lumber, squat and balance a bundle on your shoulder, then surge like you're doing a bench press, attaboy or girl. Drunk or sober, Jack could slap together a flight of stairs by lunch, but best leave Jack be. Roth, the little guy, showing off palms stained brown by lacquer. I won't have to do these hands again for a month. Danny, crew chief, philosopher by nature, handsome, fair, feared no height, dropped no weight, measured and cut once. Marcus, father, philosopher by training, Amherst, cured existential any dilemma with make something every day. Every paycheck I bought a new tool. Claw hammer, rip hammer, tri-square, straight square, nail set, tape measure, cat's paw, rip saw, chalk line, level. They let me carry heavy stuff because I was the helper, not the carpenter, but they showed me how to carry it. Taught me that a nail gun, get your hand out of there, is a rabid dog. That standing around is so working as long as you're ready to move it. That plywood has to fly off a truck like cards out of dealers' hands. That paint can be applied at way below the recommended temperatures. That a rip hammer stops a slide from a steep pitched roof, but better wang that thing in deep, save yourself. Claw hammer, rip hammer, tri-square, straight square, nail set, tape measure, cat's paw, rip saw, chalk line, chisel. They let me carry heavy stuff, but they taught me how to carry it because I was the helper, not the carpenter, but they showed me, and they taught me that guys don't share food, guys don't get sick, guys don't leave early, that laughter can save the day, that everyone pulls their weight and everything weighs more after 2 o'clock. Are you all right, you carpenters, you men who helped me learn my body is on the earth and the earth is steeply pitched, so pay attention, will ya? Forgot to start the counter again. But someone back there has a watch, and I've timed it so that I don't bore you. So I want to read a few poems from the opening of my book, Love Cohoes. I live in Cohoes, the old mill town at the confluence of the Mohawk and Hudson Rivers. First poem, Settling In. So many smokers I smell dad. So many kettles, I whistle mom. So many potholes, I feel spine. So many leaves, I rustle cousins. So many freight trains, I dream tar sands. So many locks, I rise eerie. I like this audience. I think I'll be reading the whole book just straight through. And I'll take like an hour and a half. This is called This Yes. When the federal government required the mills of Cohoes to hire colored workers or lose war contracts, the mills relented, but Cohoes maintained its segregation. Workers of color settled across the river in North Troy. I crossed the river people crossed to get to work. Hudson, then Mohawk, going, Mohawk, then Hudson, coming. Scenic. I can't feel it. River as moat, bridge as fence, labor as white, privilege. Can't hate Cohoes the way red-lined lives must have hated Cohoes. The day I move in, a black girl of 5 or 6 stops to chat, and chatting asks, "Will you live here for the rest of your life?" I feel invited, invoked, inclined toward yes. Oh, shaded streets, oh, confluence of rivers great and great. But her mother and I touch glances over her head in silent, cynical assessment. This is no place to live a whole life. But didn't dappled shade, enthusiastic child, even silent, cynical agreement disagree? Yes. Scenic Cohoes, I feel this, yes. And that's a form I created called a kahuna. What? Oh, where's your mouth? I mean your mind. My mouth is where your mind is. Okay. And so this also is a kahuna, and it's just 4-line stanzas of diminishing length, with the last line of each stanza being one word, and then the end of the poem has to be an envoy, as in a sestina, hence the title, kahuna. It's fun to say, though. You can say it. And you can write one. You buy the book, you'll see what the form is. It's sort of crossword puzzly. Okay. Drops the spine, this is called. One man, one heron, fishing from the rocks where the third branch of the Mohawk rounds Peebles Island and drops into a whetstone stretch. The man leaves first. The heron stands still so long I hunger for a hunger that quells the spine of every feather. Sewage spirals in an eddy, brown, ochre, cochleal. The heron resolves into dusk, and sometime later lifts and glides to the shallows, slight elusive sail above the solid hull of its shadow. The Milky Way's our longest throat. If I can't be still, I'll be the fish stillness caught. Drops the spine into dusk's hull, caught. And this one's called Love Cohoes. I was biking on the bike trail, and someone had written in white paint, Love Cohoes. And I took it as a challenge, which I'm still trying to. Powerball, quick draw, quick 5, take 10, mega millions, sweet millions, state minimum on all cigarettes. Price choppers, shoppers, slung with slender tanks of oxygen. On the rail trail, teens smoking and making memories. We hear without hearing mice scream as their hearts are pierced by our cats. See without fearing our neighbors' dream cleaver TVs deep into the night. Fear without fleeing midweek workers drunk and stoned again. Wake without waking, craving only what money, what genius can buy. All the heavy machinery of Cohoes driven by white men, I just noticed. Baby strollers driven by the black men white women chose. Love Cohoes blips beneath my bike tire. Message like a crosswalk, I'm crossing wrong way first, X-axis over Y. Co as in co-author, coagulate, codependent, coexistence, I'm trying to love you, hose. Is the acoustics good enough in here that people in the back can hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is called The Clotheslines of Cohoes. For the old mill town where I live, a poem against global warming. You do that here? Oh. Oh, this is streaming in video, not just audio? You didn't tell me that.
You look lovely.
I would have lost those 5 pounds sooner. The ropes of your clotheslines are rotting, Cohoes. Don't you want to smell the Great Lakes in your sheets anymore? Don't you want the sun to puff the pockets of your dockers? Be honest, Cohoes. How many days does it take you to open your utility bill? Kim Jong-un wants your clotheslines, Cohoes. He wants them iron posts, them balls of cement. America's got talent and clothespins. My neighbor Lucille told me, Cohoes, how you used to tell stories as you hung out your clothes. Kids running through the arms of a whole building's shirts, empty lines on wash day signaling trouble, bad trouble in the house. I think tenements were little villages. I think you're a little ashamed, Cohoes. I don't get it. You're so pretty. That man who owns the laundromat, he's not happy. Don't worry, Cohoes. I'll take in your clothes if it storms when you're at Walmart. I won't count holes in your socks or notice what brand undies you buy. I don't guess you buy the same brand Anthony Weiner buys. But how can I ever know for sure, Cohoes, if you let your clotheslines rot? One clothespin holds 2 shirts' shoulders, remember? Jeans dry last, and pulleys squeaking as the loads run out early morning and back in afternoon or evening mark time much better than daytime TV. Did you think of the bedridden and debilitatingly depressed when you let your clotheslines rot, Cohoes? I'll tell you a secret. All Lucille's sheets are white. White and perfect. Sailboats at the starting line, ironed clouds, clan robes in detox. Come on, Cohoes. I want to look up from doing dishes to see the prayer flags of your tank tops. I want to feel guilty for sleeping when you've done 2 loads already. And I want to compete with you, Cohoes. I want to hang my towels better and faster. I want them to snap all dust bowl in the wind. And I want to concede defeat to you, Cohoes. I want to say, you're a better housewife than I am, Cohoes. Show me your stains and I'll show you mine. Meanwhile, sunlight wicks the dew from every blade. Meanwhile, breezes dry the hair of the drowned and fill the shirt sails of the most desperate North African sailors. I have a shawl I want to show you, Cohoes. Look at me when I'm loving you, Cohoes. My mother speaks to me from the grave. She tells me, tell you, sell those dryers down river. Sell your damn dryers to Yonkers. Come on outside, Cohoes. Come on outside, Beacon. Tell those chump squirrels, these ain't no tight ropes. Tell Con Ed, son, your conning days are done. Tell your children, 1 clothespin, 2 shoulders, like this. Thank you. So there's a section of the book that is told from, I imagine, an Irish immigrant's viewpoint. The mills were worked by young women and girls, the cotton mills from Europe, some from Ireland, French, Canada. So I imagine her speaking to me or speaking to you. The spinner's hearth. And I should tell you, my grandmother was from Mayo, and if you know any Irish folks or you're Irish, they never say Mayo, they say Mayo, God help us. Because it was the poorest west of Ireland. It was hard farming. And also a famine road. Does anyone know what a famine road is? During the famine, people would go to the poorhouse, but they didn't want to give them gruel for free, so they had them work on the roads, just to earn their money. And then when everyone had died, the roads stopped. So there's many roads in Ireland that just stop. And those are famine roads. The spinner's hearth. Is it a fool they take me for? You couldn't cook a rat in that damn thing. Why, 'tis all I can do to get a kettle boiling for tea in the morning if ever they left me time in the morning for tea. Now the hearth back home, you could roast a hindquarters entire in it, with room for a kettle big as a milking pail and a pot of stew fit to feed a family of 10 come in from the hand. Big as a tomb it was in the end, grief for stew, tears for tea. I'll not ask your pity. We came for food, we found food enough. The rest we figured to be a pack of lies, and it was. At the looms we stand one wall to the other, like tines in a rake to rake a country clean of tenants. Across the river the puddlers and molders talk strike. I believe they will strike. For last August the heat took 3, and here it is, only July. My father was the one found my brother, did I tell you? Him and his darling Mary, frozen in a ditch, grass juice greening their mouths, her with her hands in the rags of his chest, like his heart was the last coal of winter. I'm from Mayo, God help us, and in Mayo, God help us, it's road building they put the paupers to, and those roads go nowhere. If I go back, and I'll not go back, I'll stand on the roadway my parents built, and I'll follow it by God to the poorhouse that gave them food enough to lift a shovel, but food too little to live. I'll burn it down if I go back, and I'll not go back. But it warms me now as I work at the loom to think of the flames covering the lice and the stinking buckets, feeding sparks to the starved moon. 'Tis a small joy to picture my brother and his darling Mary, rising from their bed in the frozen bog, like bride and groom walking to the altar of the fire. Oh, it seems to be now the heart of the Blessed Virgin herself I'm seeing. Is it she who will return our families to us? I pray for my bitterness to have an end, that I see no more in the mill manager's eyes the eyes of the landlord who put us out, that I hear no more in the overseer's voice the voice of the man who let me and my sisters, our mother and father, in, but turned away my brother and his darling Mary. His heart's last heat, not enough, but given, given. Oh, there's days I would hold all the world's freezing to my breast. And days I would set the mill on fire, days I would set the mill on fire. Thank you. This is a short one called Depression, 1873 to 1877. We told them cut the hours, not the pay, if there's too much cloth on the market. They cut the pay, but not the rents, and they weathered the storm like the storm itself. In 1880, we struck, and their model factory, their happy family, 2/3 of us girls under 20, spoke as one. Cut the hours, not the pay, if there's too much cloth on the market. We're still saying that, aren't we? A heron I know. On most any walk or drive, the Hudson's sunny muscles, one branch then another of the Mohawk. Ducks snicking the current, geese like stones, and when water everywhere else is frozen, eagles feeding below the falls. Today, a heron I know. I thought. Looked familiar.
Okay, for you.
Okay. This one's called Addition and Subtraction for the Sandy Hook first graders. Two rooms full of soft, warm bodies. Asking questions, learning addition and subtraction, having to face a whole hurricane contained within one atom. Did you see the line of children leaving the school? Hands to shoulders as they were told. Did you think the terrible thought, we should have taught them to scatter and squat like Marines in a battle, else he'd pick them off back to front the way hunters cull a line of ducks? I don't want to be thinking this. I don't want to crawl into bed either. I want to raise my hand and ask good questions. Like, are they together? Is there a heaven? Do they find awesome rocks there and pretty feathers that they return calling, Cherub, oh Mrs. Cherub, you dropped your feather? Because do they love the bubbles in that word cherub? The word clip, in contrast, has quick metal and theft in it, but it's not right, late night radio says. Clips just hold and feed. I don't want to see this hold and feed bullets into a magazine. Magazine is the correct term. Saying clip, in fact, is proof you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I can add and subtract until I get the right answer. Like 11 days till Christmas plus 2 more days of Hanukkah equals about 101 packages somebody had to deal with. Minus 3 to 11 bullets per body. But now we're on to multiplication, and they never made it onto multiplication, did they? Like 5 fingers times 40 hands times all the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles who once traced each tiny finger as if it were an indivisible, indelible ink miracle equals, oh, about a bazillion. Now let's times that by 4 for the 4 teachers who went with them. Divided by 3, the 3 guns that came with him. Times 2, the principal, the school psychologist. Divided by 1 mother, teaching a son to take aim and fire. She was never thinking hurricane. Never dividing the number of bullets in a magazine by the number in a line of cherubim, leaving us with the 0 of a gun muzzle. And 0 times any number, as they would have learned later, always equals 0.
Bravo.
I think I do need the mic. The title of this poem is Words That I Heard in Meditation. Okay, we're in a yoga center, I can say it. Prayer. Words heard in prayer. Do not speak his name. I invite you to bring flowers to the grave. I need my white privilege. I'd be dead without my white privilege. White privilege has this amazing app. It translates gesture into language any cop can understand. This means I pay you, eat your ego. This means I love my mother. I won't tear her heart from her chest. Yes, I have needed my white privilege. I really think I'd be dead without it. It's like a magic cloak. I drove almost 4 years on an expired Pennsylvania inspection sticker. No kidding. No sirens, no pulse spike, no tickets, no warnings, no bullets, not one, not six. And shoplifting, well, I did it. Candy clothes, a Coleman camp stove. I'm not proud of this. I'm relieved death wasn't the penalty for me. I'm relieved death wasn't the penalty for me. I did get busted once for smoking weed. I was 18. You should have heard my mouth. Spent the next 4 years in college. Look, Ma, no prison trauma, no felony shackling. My whole life, I've had my life. Even this breath is a break. What number added to 18 gets you to 50 years old? Maybe it's not a number, but a color. The complexion with protection, my friend Robert calls it. He spent a week in county jail for driving on an expired inspection sticker. Listen, life isn't easy for anyone, and I deal with my share of isms. But white privilege just makes the world so much gentler. Someone goes and gets a blanket for you. Someone spreads a blanket over your body when your body lies dead in the street, bleeding a stain 4 centuries of mothers' tears can't wash away. And no jury that covers that stain is grand. 18 to get to 50 needs 32 years, 384 months of me driving away. I know what I got away with. I'd be dead without my white privilege, but with it I am death, come to cut your sons from their tall, straight stalks. One more poem?
You got 3 minutes.
Slam poets write long poems. 3 minutes is the competitive thing. And you get a 10-second grace period. So if anyone's timing me, all my poems are 3 minutes, 9 seconds. But I slow them down a little for you. It's fun to do them really fast, though. Which one should I do? Is anyone feeling something that they should shout out, and that will help me know which one to do?
Happy.
Love.
Love.
I'll do it.
Intimacy.
Oh, I got you. I'm hearing it. A little bit of white guilt. Okay, we'll move out. White guilt is a carcinogen. I don't mean to invoke guilt. I mean to invoke action, inspire action.
Yes.
And getting rid of white privilege. After I did this poem about 8 times, I had to get a legal car. I just, until a month ago, I was driving on an expired, which was a privilege. And I was like, I have to pay up, it costs me money, and now I'm legal. So I'm not using that white privilege right now. Okay, I want to do I do. We met in English 102, Introduction to Celia. She graded my Gatsby, clocked my orange, and worked it. Loved my J. Alfred Prufrock so well, I sang I will, love life now, and I do. But marriage equality came too late for us. It's fireworks on the 4th of January. It's remembering the condom when the ship's already sailed. It's delivering an apology to a coffin. Celia Easton, I still love your name. Opposites do attract. You are the soft to my hard, the push to my runaway, dark hair and olive skin to my carrot top and potato white. Feminism has given me many gifts, but the best, it seemed to me, at 17, was bralessness. The archetypal body, your twin brothers called it, and they were both right. My family never asked, whatever happened to that Celia? 6 years. Did your father ever ask about the shiksa who blushed so easily? I still have the little Yiddish he gave me, still have him. Remember how he mowed beneath your bedroom window again and again that morning you sang, will you still love me tomorrow? I said I will and I do, but marriage equality came too late for us. It's a wedding cake that thinks it's MacArthur's Park. It's FEMA showing up in New Orleans in time to give out body bags. It's a cruise ship I spot from the drifting raft of my life. Why should I shout? Why shoot off my last flare? Is Celia Easton asleep in a cabin there? 300 months of life and love ahead of us? If I could travel back in time, I'd travel back in time. I'd fly like Olympic ski jumper Noriaki Kasai, straight to the Reagan era, land on bent knee at Celia's feet and say, Celia, I've seen the future. I'm still writing poems to you in it. I'm not changing your name. Marry me and we can change mine. And miraculously, in 2015, in the hallway of a house I've never seen, framed photographs appear. Wedding, wedding, drunk cousins, wedding. In one, I'm dancing with her father. He looks so young. He's smiling. I must have just told him how that morning he mowed beneath her bedroom window again and again. She was singing to me. Will you still love me too? Tomorrow never came for us. I said I will, never got to say or even run away from saying I do.
How about another hand for Elizabeth, for Hayden? Our first poets in our new house. We're going to take a short 10-minute break. We're going to come back with El Presidente of Albany Poets, Tom Francis. And please smile for Christopher. He's taking pictures. And we'll see you in 10
Jim wanted me to
minutes.
get one of the whole crowd before you all disperse. So
We're going to take some pictures, and then we're going to bring on Tom Francis, and then the open mic.
and then I'll be good. We can let him go.
We can let you go.